Thank you. If we could maybe just make some spots in the edges, so if people just fill in a little bit in the middle, that'd be great. Okay. They said in the back, they did the thumbs up. Yeah, I agree. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah? Okay. Maybe. You can hear me in the back just fine? Yeah? Because I went for the... Any questions before we get started? Any questions about things? No? Okay. How many of you liked the football game yesterday? Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, so... I think I watched about 10 minutes of it every hour, every half hour, I'd flip it on for a minute or two. So again, if we could just maybe fill in some middle seats, that'd be appreciated by those people coming late. It is simulcast in 10 Evans, so there's always the opportunity to go to 10 Evans. I'm not going to use iClickers for points. I will have iClicker type questions where you can discuss and things like that, so hopefully we'll get to them. There's always a shortage of time, and I have to get through the lecture because everyone's in the lab this week, all right? So for the first lab, can everyone hear me all right? Okay, so for the first lab, I want to review briefly two pieces of equipment, the microscope, because you'll be using the microscope this lab, and in fact, you'll use the compound microscope in 7 of the 11 labs. So you'll get many opportunities to use it over and over. So if you felt like you just didn't master it last week, that's completely understandable. You'll use it more and more. The key thing is, each time, make sure you follow the steps to set color illumination. You do that repeatedly, you'll get much better at it. It'll be much faster for you in the future, okay? The other thing is micropipetters. I'm going to review those again, because this week you'll take 100 microliters of seawater. Now, I'm going to say 100 microliters now. We may modify that quantity, that volume, depending on what the results look like. So basically what we have to do is test the water each day, and then we tell you what sample volume you need. So right now it's going to be 100 microliters based on our most recent test, but if your GSI tells you a different volume, use that volume that they mentioned, okay? So, and then what we're going to do is talk a bit about prokaryotes, and then we're going to go over animal use. I mentioned in the first slide that we will do animal dissections, so in particular the rat, various other invertebrates, things like that, and, you know, treat them with respect, okay? As we get to each dissection, I'll give you specific pointers, how to do them, things like that, okay? And then we'll talk about eukaryotes, and then I want to briefly talk about as much of the Vibrio stuff as I can, introduce PCR, etc. Okay, so anyway, micropipetters. If you remember, there's 3 that you'll be using, maybe a 4th one at P2 later. For this lab, since you want 100 microliter volume, you'll use the P200, which uses the yellow tips. And again, use sterile technique when you open up the racket tips, rotate the lid up, grab the tip, close it back down, okay? Now, it is absolutely true that seawater is not sterile, because if it was, we wouldn't be able to get any bacteria out of it, right? So it's just teaching you a good technique that you can continue to employ when it really does matter, okay? After this, when we streak them out and we get violent luminescent colonies, we will use sterile loops, and again, you need to use the sterile technique. With respect to the microscope, do you remember a few things? The distance between the nylon mesh fibers was a constant known value of 100 micrometers. Now, the distances that those etches represented varied with the magnification. The way you grade the magnification was what lens did you change? The objective. So total magnification is the ocular times the objective, okay? So when you use the microscope, of course, you use the magnification aspect of it to get better resolution. Resolution is the ability to see 2 distinct points as distinct points. The smaller the value, the better the resolution, or the better the resolving power, okay? So the smaller value, the better. That's dependent on wavelength and magnification. So remember you did this, you determined which was on top and bottom. I had several students ask me, how do you determine that? Remember, when you take the microscope, the oculars, the way it's designed, the oculars are fixed in place, the objectives are in that turret, so when you set a specific objective in place, the distance is always fixed for whatever lens you're using. So the way you actually get the specimen in focus is you move the stage, because at a given magnification, if it's a low power, this is what's in focus. The depth of focus is that deep, with the center. When you switch from the 4x objective, let's say to the 10x objective, the depth of focus increases or decreases? Decreases, excellent. And the midpoint should be approximately the same, okay, but it decreases, and likewise the field of view is decreasing. So effectively the cylinder in which we're searching for that specimen decreases as we increase magnification, which is why we always want to use the lowest power objective when we're trying to find a specimen. It gives us the biggest depth of focus and the biggest field of view. And remember, when we look for a specimen, that specimen might be anywhere in this column of liquid. All right, let's say there's another specimen here. So it might be in focus here. When we switch to here, it may not be. But if we get it here, we can play with the focus just slightly with the fine focus, okay? But remember, there's a column of liquid. If we use a 4x objective, we'll get the entire column in focus. We can find the specimen, and when we find focus it, we move this to approximately the midpoint. So in fact, we shouldn't lose it when we switch to that objective because we use the fine focus, position that here. So if you have to raise the stage to get something into focus, if I'm raising the stage to get into focus, what comes into focus first? My upper arm or the lower? Upper. And if I have to lower the stage to get into focus, what comes into focus first? The bottom one. So that's how you tell which is on top and bottom. It's all relative to how you are positioning, moving the stage. Ideally, you'll work starting with the stage all the way down, because if the stage is all the way down, it gives you the most working distance between the objective and that slide, so you don't have to worry about damaging the slide, damaging the lens, etc., okay? So almost always you want to start with the slide down on the stage and rotate the stage up to get it into focus. Coarse focus moves it quickly. Fine focus, the small adjustments. Once you've done this at the 4x objective, you should not have to touch the coarse focus again. If you find that it's not anywhere in focus, ask the GSI, and maybe what happened was this lens got rotated out of position. So when we rotate the lens, they're in this turret. So if you grab it by the turret, that works better. But if you, or other students, or whomever, use the lens, occasionally you can screw those lenses out of positions. They're just screwing in and out. So if for some reason you can't get it to focus when you go to the 10x objective, ask the GSI, okay? Likewise, unfortunately, when you go to the 40x objective, which is the highest power we have, those lenses tend to get very dirty. And the way it really looks is like this. The glass lens is actually recessed. So like this week when we're working with methylene blue, it's a blue dye. We're going to stain cheek cells. You're going to scrape your cheek cells with toothpicks. You don't have to draw blood. A little scraping will be fine, okay? You're going to put it on the slide. It's going to have the methylene blue in it. So have that stain already on the slide. That way when you do scrape your cheek cells and you put the toothpick in there, transfer the cells from the toothpick to the solution, they won't dry out. So what happens is you'll put them in there. You'll see the cells. The DNA should take up the dye preferentially. And this is one way we increase contrast. So with the microscope, we have magnification. We address resolution at D value, but if you don't have the contrast in the specimen, you typically can't ever see anything. So one way to increase contrast is to add a dye like this. Well, when we use this dye here to stain the human cheek cells, a lot of times what happens is that dye, that lens, the 40x, doesn't get cleaned afterwards, and the dye is wicked up into the space by capillary action. Then when it dries, we have a blue film on this lens. So the 40x objective is the one that is really difficult to clean. Always use lens paper only, not chem wipes, and we have lens cleaning solution in the lab. Okay? So that's one inherent flaw of the design of these microscopes, is that 40x objective lens is recessed more than I would like. Maybe in the future they'll change that. So Basically what you're going to do is, you know the raised parts, key things. You first have to get the specimen in focus, adjust the interpupillary distance, adjust the diopters. Again, follow the steps. So first get in focus, then what you're going to do is close down that field diaphragm, so you got one uniform field of view. You're going to close down that field diaphragm. And we have a movie on VSpace that you can download and watch. It's about 5 minutes long, goes through these steps. I tried to show it last time. Last time it worked on my computer, but we can project it. Now it's not working on my computer. So anyway, it's on VSpace. It's been on there for a while. Take a look at that. Basically, it goes through the various steps. You see the microscope, and you see what's happening to the image as you play with the various parts, okay? Play with as in trying to set things. So you close down the field diaphragm, which is the lowest one on the bottom. Just some plates that overlap. Close it down. That field of view will start to decrease. You'll see it being constricted by the plate there, the field diaphragm. And what happens is you should see nice sharp lines around the perimeter of that if you have positioned the condenser properly. So you always have to have the specimen in focus first, because otherwise you don't know how to position the condenser. That's why I say always focus first, then set the field diaphragm. Okay? Close it down. It allows you to position the condenser. If these aren't nice sharp lines, move the condenser with that condenser adjustment knob. You should get nice sharp lines. And then you're going to open it up. Expand it to fill just the field of view. You don't want it way past that because then you get extra light you don't need. You want it to maximize your field of view, so expand it outwards, and likewise you want it to equally be centered in that field of view. So there are some knobs you can adjust if necessary. These knobs can reposition the center of it. So that's a field diaphragm adjustment. Once you've done that, then it's a matter of adjusting the aperture diaphragm here to increase the contrast. What it does is basically adds shadows, allows you some more contrast. You do lose some resolution, but again, if you can't see the specimen, it doesn't matter what your resolution is. All right, so those are pretty much the steps. Again, if you go through the lab manual each and every time, doing those steps, soon, after 3 labs, you won't have to read it again. It will become second nature. And again, this is just to do the calibration. Once we've done that calibration for that microscope, for the various objectives we have, it's fixed for the rest of the semester, for years. Because, again, that distance here is always fixed. So when it gets projected on the specimen, it's always a fixed distance. Okay? That gets represented. Okay? So the concepts which we discussed this briefly, with microscope, we get magnification. Oh, and I apologize. If you look at your reader, the eukaryotes got put in twice. I posted the missing slides on VSpace. I sent them to you as attachment as well. And I narrowed it down to just 8 slides because you already had 8 of these, okay? So I apologize for that. But these are some things that you've seen before. Magnification, determined by the 2 lenses, the ocular near your eye and the objective, which is variable. Resolution, there's this formula here. This is kind of a feature of the design of the lens, so we can't typically change that. We could potentially change the wavelength used. Would a shorter wavelength or a longer wavelength give us better resolution? Shorter, because that makes the numerator a smaller value, okay? This here is sometimes called a numerical aperture, where n is the index of refraction of the space between the cover slip and this objective. And you may have heard it before that you can use oil immersion. What oil does, it acts as the interface between here, because it has a different index of refraction, it bends the light back towards the lens. We will not use oil in this class. It's effective with a 1000x objective, which we don't have on microscopes, in part because the oil, when it dries, is extremely difficult to clean. So we limit the use here to just the highest dry power objective, which is the 40x objective. Okay? And we also saved about $30,000 by not purchasing those lenses, so money's always a factor. Anyway, this n is referring to that index of refraction, sine alpha is feature of the lens. Contrast. I mentioned that we can do things to change the contrast by staining the sample, either specific parts of the sample, or maybe staining the background, so the specimen pops out a bit, okay? If you're in art, things like that, you know how you can use colors and contrast to highlight details. And then there's also inherent. So this week you're going to be looking at Eladia. The chloroplasts will be very easy to see because they have a green pigment in them, chlorophyll and some other pigments we don't see, but we'll learn about later. So that's inherent contrast there, because they're green color, okay? The nucleus typically isn't colored. The vacuoles sometimes can be colored, like purple onions. That purple color is due to purple pigments in the vacuole, okay? So there are various organelles that might have higher contrast because of pigments in there. Again, set color illumination each and every time. Any questions with microscope stuff? Again, we're optically sectioning the specimen. Difficult concept. With practice, you'll get it. With prokaryotes, I mentioned this last time. I want to clarify it again. Historically, because it came up in office hours, historically, we used to use the term bacteria for non-eukaryotes. We should have said prokaryotes, but we didn't know any better because we did not know about archaeans 30, 50, 100 years ago. So now, prokaryotes have 2 domains within them. Okay? So within the prokaryotes, those that lack a nucleus, we have the domains eubacteria and archaea. And we did this last time. I'm doing it again just to stress it. But then we have the eukaryotes. So the 3 domains are eubacteria, archaea, and eukaryotes. I will try to use the term eubacteria and not use the term bacteria. If I slip up, almost everyone when they use the term bacteria are referring to eubacteria. Okay? So anyway, so a few things about what you'll be doing in the lab. You'll be doing some examinations of bacteria, both the gram-stained bacteria and some bacteria called cyanobacteria. Okay? So let's go over a few features of prokaryotes. You've had this already. Okay? So starting from outward, inward. Okay? So we can have a capsule on the outside. Sometimes that's called glycocalyx. It's usually a lipopolysaccharide. It helps that bacterium for adhesion. You've probably seen these commercials for Crest and various toothpaste and toothbrushes that help eliminate plaque. Plaque on your teeth is basically a biofilm of bacteria. And those bacteria use the glycocalyx to interact with each other to form that biofilm. A lot of things now, a lot of recent research in these glycocalyx and how bacteria interact, recognition, form these biofilms, a lot of key concepts there. So anyway, we have the capsule of glycocalyx, the cell wall, which is made up of peptidoglycan, a type of polysaccharide, also has some amino acids in it, okay? We'll talk about 2 main forms, gram-positive and gram-negative. They're classified based on how they react to a specific staining procedure, okay? So in other words, I can't just look at a bacterium and say, oh, I think that's going to be gram-positive. We do the procedure, we can then say it's gram-positive, gram-negative. I'll show you the technique on the board, how it works. So we have the cell wall, we have the plasma membrane, phospholipid bilayer, you're familiar with that, controls permeability. The cytosol, which is the fluid portion within there, lots of proteins suspended within that. Of course, there are proteins associated with membranes. Where would proteins be associated with membranes in this case? What membrane? Plasma membrane. So when we talk about proteins embedded in a membrane, we talk about the rough ER for eukaryotes. Do prokaryotes have a rough ER? No. They don't have membrane-bound... Well, okay. I'm going to put this in quotation marks. They lack membrane-bound organelles. That's what people usually say. It's actually not a true statement. They do have some membrane-bound organelles, various structures like that. Usually what we really need to say is they lack the nucleus, which is membrane-bound, that encloses the DNA. That's the best way to phrase it. Historically, we always say they lack membrane-bound organelles, but there are examples of membrane-bound organelles within bacteria. Yes? So the question is, so I mentioned you can't just look at a bacterium and say it's gram-positive or gram-negative. Because then the comment here was, well, the gram-negative typically have an outer membrane. But not all the gram-negative have the outer membrane. So it's really referring to how that bacterium appears after doing the staining. Furthermore, it depends what growth phase they're in. So if you take those bacteria and they're in a certain growth phase, they might be gram-negative. Staining, another time they might be gram-positive, okay? So it's kind of variable, okay? But we do use it as a broad generalization. And I'll tell you why, because that's how antibiotics can work. We have some antibiotics that are effective against gram-positive bacteria, some against gram-negative, okay? Yes, question? So the question is the glycocalcium referring to the outer membrane? No, it's not. It's actually found in gram-positive as well as gram-negative, okay? All right? And if you take a microbiology class, you'll learn a lot more about this. It's a really important structure sometimes for sporulation. So those bacteria can survive in dormant state for 10, 50, 100 years, okay? Other questions? Yes? This or this? The real one. This is by real, remember, this is a transition electron micrograph, okay? Okay, so the question is, how could you distinguish based upon this CEM plasma membrane versus cell wall? You can't do it very well, okay? So it takes higher resolution what this is, and microscopists haven't sort of interpreted these things, okay? But if you use specific antibodies against parts of the cell wall, you get more recognition of that. The other thing is that plasma membrane is only about 10 nanometers, and cell walls are much thicker than that typically, okay? So there is the fact that the cell wall is much thicker, and it's composed of different components, okay? So anyway, they have flagella for movement. These are very different than eukaryotic flagella. These do not have a whip-like motion for movement. They actually have a corkscrew fashion. They actually spin around. Very unusual to find motors that have rotational movement in living things. One great example you'll learn a lot more about is the ATP synthase, when we talk about electron-proton gradients. There's a situation where something actually literally spins around, and as it spins, it creates basically conformational changes, which is used to make ATP, okay? But this is like a corkscrew. When you take and try to open up the bottle of wine, you twist the corkscrew, you know the corkscrew advances because it has that ability. Well, in this case, if you spin this, the bacterium would be propelled. And there are things that allow it to move: chemotaxis, sense, positive, negative. Question back. So bacteria do not have microtubules, although they have what's called analogous proteins. So they're not tubulin per se, so they are other proteins that serve a similar type of function, okay? So what you can do is you can take a look at their protein structure, the amino acid composition. It's clearly not tubulin, but it's related, okay? Other questions? Excellent discussion? Okay, so let's just move on with this. This is that TM. Again, that cytosol is very thick. It's far more viscous than honey because the protein concentration is so high. And then we have the nucleoid, which is a region that contains DNA. Dr. Doudna calls this DNA a bacterial chromosome. I call it chromosome. Sometimes people don't like to use that term. It is typically a single circular molecule of DNA, and it does have packing proteins. Definitely is packed within there. The DNA is far bigger than this bacterium, so it uses proteins to pack it, not histones, though. Okay? All right, so this illustrates gram-positive. I'm going to put on the board the way this procedure works, and I'm going to illustrate it first with a gram-positive bacterium, but realize if you're doing the staining procedure, you may not know ahead of time what it was. Okay, again, I apologize it's not in your reader because the eukaryotes got put in there twice. Okay, I have some space. I'm going to put it on the board, so let's just run through this. So gram-positive bacteria tend to have a very thick cell wall. So I'm going to go through the steps here. So I'm just going to draw this for a gram-positive bacteria. Thick cell wall, very thin cell membrane, or plasma membrane, nucleoid, things like that. So the way this procedure works is as follows. You add a drop of bacterium to a microscope slide, you fix it so they don't wash off. Usually just dry the liquid, you fix it, you add crystal violet. It's a dye, a violet in color. That takes, it's taken up by the bacterium, interacts with components in the cell wall. You decolorize it, well, add iodine. You decolorize it, so that helps to wash away some of the violet. You counterstain, so you're adding a second stain, that's what's called counterstain, with saffron red. You decolorize and observe it. And these are for specific lengths of time, specific concentrations, et cetera, okay? So these are specific steps for specific lengths of time, et cetera, okay? Time, dye concentrations, et cetera. So watch what happens. We fixed it, we added the crystal violet, we added the iodine, the crystal violet's there, we decolorize it, so that means we'll remove some of the violet. But because this thick cell wall is present and the interactions, we do not remove much of that crystal violet. It still is very violet at the time. We counterstain it with saffron red, so we add some red to this. We decolorize it, and in the end, what we would see would be violet-colored cells. If this was unknown, I would do the procedures, observe it, and see the purple. Okay? And I would then say that's gram-positive, and that violet color is due to the type of cell wall present. Okay? If it was a gram-negative bacterium, which I'll put on the board here, it doesn't have that real thick cell wall. It does have an outer membrane, so we'll add the outer membrane. So outer membrane. I'm drawing it only as a single line, but that's a phospholipid bilayer. Likewise, this was a phospholipid bilayer. We have the cell wall, not nearly as thick. We do the same procedure. So we do the violet. We decolorize it. We do the iodine racing like that. We do the counterstain. We decolorize it, but in the end, these appear red. Reflection of the difference in the cell wall composition. Very easy procedure to do. And what's important about this is these are major dramatical biochemical differences. And as a result, we have antibiotics, anti-life, and some of these antibiotics are effective against gram-negative, and they have no effect on gram-positive, and others are effective against gram-positive. Okay? So when I was in graduate school here, the equivalent Tang Center, I basically had a bacterial infection in the skin of my feet. It was basically eating the skin. A little smelly, actually very smelly. But I went to the